Hello, welcome along to part 4 of this series of videos about how to do really good recruitment and selection for UK higher education. And this one is all about the use of the advert as the first thing that people will see that will help them to know whether they want to apply for the job. And it's the first thing they're going to look at before my notes just fell over, before they even look at the job description or the person's specifications. So you need to get this right because it's going to set the tone for the rest of the process. I've procrastinated over making this video because I'm really conscious that on LinkedIn and YouTube and all the internet places, there are loads of people who are probably better qualified than me to speak on this subject. So the health warning is to just say, this is a starter for 10. It gives you some things to think about, and I will put a list of resources that you can check out if you want to go and find out more about it. But these are some things to get you started. So my first point is, please stop rehashing the copy from the last time that this role was advertised. As a recruiting line manager, you are giving away so much power by doing that. This is your opportunity to take the time to think about what you really want to express about the place that you work, about the culture that you are creating in your team, about what you want from the person who's going to be the best possible candidate for this role. And how can you say all of that in a lovely, welcoming, inclusive way so that the broadest possible collection of people think, oh, this could be a great job for me, and apply, so that they feel able and qualified and valued in their application, and also so that you have a really good competitive pool of people to be interviewing and taking through this recruitment process. Give yourself the best chance of making the best appointment. The next thing is, be really, really careful about your use of language for various reasons. As I said, part of the role of the advert is to be very welcoming and inclusive and to invite the biggest pool of people that possible to apply. Be conscious of the fact that different types of roles and teams lend themselves to different types of use of language, and just what bias that might be bringing into the advert and what that says to the person who's reading the advert and deciding whether they want to apply or not. So be conscious and be wary of using particularly male bias language. So this is really common in leadership roles or in kind of data analysis and student statistics-y type roles, where you're using words like lead, analyse, competitive, active, confident. Think about what are the types of person that you're putting off by using that vocabulary, versus female bias language, which is more around support, responsible, understanding, dependable, and committed. So be conscious around that bias. And if you're not sure, there are loads of great tools like Total Jobs have a tool where you can just copy and paste the wording that you're planning to use from your advert into their systems completely free. And it will highlight for you the more male or female biased vocabulary and tell you what sort of point scale you are around the bias, so that you can change some of those words to be less biased. So use tools to help you. Obviously, it goes without saying, but I'm going to re-say it anyway. Please be using gender neutral language, so they, and actually preferably you, speak to the reader. So you will be like this or have this kind of experience. And be very literal. So don't use euphemisms or say things that are unclear, because that might be misinterpreted by people. And also be careful around things like your use of team or role specific or organisation specific vocabulary and acronyms and things like that people might not know, because again, that will not seem very welcoming. Okay, next up, highlight benefits that appeal to a wide range of age groups. So think about things like if there's flexibility in terms of flexible working, or if there's an option for this role to be part-time or a job share, things like that, that will be more appealing to a broader range of people. And also be conscious of any age-related bias in language, like tech savvy. I mean, I'm pretty tech savvy, and that makes me think, oh no, I can't do this job, whatever the job is. So instead, focus more on the skills and behaviours that you require. So is it actually programming skills? How many people have got those? Or is it proficiency with the main Microsoft packages, which is much more inclusive and reasonable expectation for the majority of jobs across higher education? And be clear about where training is available. Next up, use the reading difficulty level appropriate to the level of the role that you are advertising. So don't overcomplicate the vocabulary if it's not a very technically focused role. Hopefully that makes sense. Be clear as well in your description in the advert about what the application process is. So, click here, blah, blah, blah. There'll be an interview on these dates and blah, blah. Be as clear as you can about what will actually be assessed. And this is something that I think not many people think about. But for inclusive recruitment, specifically around things like neurodiversity, be very thoughtful about what is being assessed and be very explicit in describing it. For example, if copywriting is a skill, or editing are skills that you require from this role, then it's totally legitimate to say that spelling, punctuation, and grammar will be assessed as part of the application process. If, however, copywriting and editing and those kinds of skills are not super important to the role, then it might be helpful to people with various types of neurodiversity if you explicitly state that these are not being assessed, because really what you care about is the content of what's being written rather than the minutiae of the spelling, grammar, and punctuation. And similarly, be explicit if a presentation is being required, and just have a little chat with yourself if you are deciding to use a presentation about how relevant it is. So if presenting skills are not a large part of, or in fact any part of, the role that you're recruiting for, I would argue you should not be asking people to give a presentation as part of the recruitment process, because it's not relevant. Stop doing that. If, however, it's a large part of the role and this person's going to need to be out at schools and colleges, or in front of faculty members or students or whatever, and they are going to need to be presenting on a regular basis, go for your life. Make them do a presentation as part of the recruitment process. That's perfectly fine, but state it in the advert. Next up, for various different protected characteristics, it's worth thinking about making sure that you don't over-index on requirements around experience and academic credentials, because firstly, a lot of roles, particularly administrative and clerical level roles, don't actually require you to have a degree, and a lot of the best administrators I've worked with don't have degrees and they're super awesome at it. So think seriously about whether that's actually required for your role, but also think about just being, again, welcoming to the fact that not everybody has the kind of background or life experience that leads easily to having a degree or a second degree. Like the number of desirable requirements that is a postgraduate degree that I've seen on job ads, and person specifications, obviously, where it's completely irrelevant. Why are we asking for that? Stop it. Okay, and my final point is chat with your budget holder if it's not you, to think about what budget could be used to place adverts in the broadest possible range of publications, platforms, and websites so that you can get as many eyeballs on your job as possible and welcome the broadest pool of applicants so that you can do a really good and rigorous recruitment. If you don't have loads of budget, think about things like, can you post it on LinkedIn? Can you ask people in your team or in related teams to promote it, repost it, all of those kinds of things? Does your HR team do that automatically? Can you ask them to send you the link from their post so that you can be reposting it? And all of that good stuff. Okay, that was a whistle-stop tour through how to think about writing the advert and publishing the advert in the most inclusive way possible. The next video in the series will be a bit more ranty, brace yourselves, about that old nugget of fit. How do you decide what is, that was random. How do you keep yourself clear of falling into the trap of arbitrarily and potentially according to your own bias saying that a candidate didn't get the job because they were not a good fit, even if they are qualified and experienced and have all the skills that you need? So that's going to be about using the organisational behaviour frameworks, values, and so on to try to be as inclusive and clear around those decisions. If you like this video and found it helpful, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, things I've missed, or challenges to what I've said, please put those in the comments. I'd love to have some chat with you about it. And if you want to be notified of the rest of this series, firstly, click the bell icon. If you're watching on YouTube, that's down in the description below. If you're watching on LinkedIn, go to my profile page and it's in the top corner. I'm going to post a playlist with all of the published videos from YouTube in the comments. So I will add that in the description below. And I think that's everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.